Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Now, I have not been a huge Star Wars fan for a long, long time. When I was a kid, I loved the prequels. I know a lot of people hate the prequels. I love them. I grew up on them. So I was like, what, 9, 8, 7? I don't know. I was super young. So when I was watching it, I thought that shit was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, rewatching some of them, like, okay, like the acting and stuff like that, some of the decision making, like, oh my goodness. But as a kid, I have a soft spot for it. I didn't originally like the original trilogy that much as a kid. I felt it was way too serious. So my interpretation of Star Wars was always a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But I like the third prequel. Revenge of the Sith. I enjoyed it as a film. You know what I'm saying? And it was interesting. I watched the new ones, the Force Awakens, and I was so excited for it because John Boyega, but I felt bamboozled and lied to when I watched the movie, and I was so disappointed. And that kind of put me off Star Wars, to be honest. In general, I was like, this is not going to be something I'm going to enjoy. Now, the aesthetics in The Force Awakens, the pictures, the Tumblr posts you can make, the gifs, we took a life of its own. Boy, I was a Tumblr fiend at the time with thousands of followers on Tumblr. That's what I was popping up on. I was loving that shit. I was like, the vibes, ooh. But, looking at it critically is, I've become way more critical. It's like, it's kind of doo-doo, you know what I'm saying? So, when the Mandalorian came out, like, last year, I was like, I don't know if all this hype is really real. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing hype. I've been seeing all type of malarkey. And I ain't been really that impressed. So I was like, okay, this year, I was looking at it and it's just the praises. I was like, God damn, how good it it be? So I sat down and started watching it like last week. I was like, dang, they be fire. This shit straight heat. And then, I started watching videos about it. I started just doing more stuff about it. I was like, man, this shit fire, boy. And I've been enjoying it. I've caught up fully. I even paid Disney Plus those 6 whatever or 99 a month. Just to watch The Mandalorian. There's really nothing else there to watch, to be honest. That's the shitty thing about Disney Plus. They need way more shows, goddamn it. But I'm willing to pay 6 a month for 1 or 2 shows. I'm not gonna lie. It's whatever. And I was watching it, and one thing I was like, I realized, I was like, why does nobody know Jedi'S or is aware of Jedi'S existence in this show? And a lot of other YouTubers have been asking the same question, but I wasn't really satisfied with a lot of their answering or the way they went about it. So I decided I'm gonna put myself to the job. I'm gonna investigate myself in my brain. I'm gonna do like some mathematical equations and try to figure this shit out. Try to make sense of this goddamn thing. Because we know the Mandalorian paid so much attention to detail that there was no way in hell they could just fib or mess up such a clear and obvious thing. Right? So I started thinking about it. Okay, the Jedi Order. Right? Why has so many places seem to not have heard of it? I think the simple answer, right, is if you look at even like where we are currently, right, on Earth, in our actual real life, right, there's a lot of things that people don't believe. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you stories myself. I could tell you a story that I've seen with my own eyes, things that I experienced. If I tell you, you're going to call me crazy, right? But if we go back to 100 years ago and I told you the same thing, you're going to be like, damn, really? That shit happened? That shit crazy. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta understand that. And times move way faster now than they ever did before. If you look at even comedy, there's certain jokes you could have said 10 years ago, you cannot get away with that shit today. And that's 10 years ago. So now these guys are even farther ahead in the future. So things move even faster. Way faster, right? The Jedi Order had fallen for years at this stage. Right? And even if you've heard of the Jedi, first of all, you have to understand, out of billions and billions and billions of people in this world, I'm assuming over 50 billion people. If on Earth alone we got 8 billion people, or 7 point something billion people, and it's one little planet. This is planets on planets on planets on planets on planets. Now, admittedly, there's tons of war. So because there's tons of goddamn war, that's why I'm cutting it down to like 50 billion. Right? So there's these billions of people. And out of these billions of people, there's only hundreds, maximum low thousands of these people with this insane ability. Right? So those parts of the galaxy that's probably never even seen a Jedi, never heard of a Jedi, don't know what the fuck a Jedi is, right? So when you talk about even the council, people say that, oh, the Jedi were on the council and they were part of people running it, right? I think the people within that city, the people within the council knew that. Now, people from way outside that could know, oh, there's a council over in the center of fucking Gal Gadot, right? I just made up the name of that planet. But in the center of that fucking planet, right, there's a council there. And, you know, those people called the Jedi there. That does not necessarily mean Jedi got supernatural powers. Now, also, if you're outside of that, like way outside, because you have to think of where the Mandalorian takes place. It takes place in very secluded areas. He's never been in a city thus far, right? He's always in like little encampment, little corners of the universe, out in the middle of nowhere. It's like places with no Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? What was that new is it tweet or post that's like do people in I don't know where, I can't remember the exact city or state in America, do they even have what internet over there? You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, like Montana, I think it's Montana or some shit, do they even got Wi-Fi over there? Those places like those were like Antarctica. A motherfucker in Antarctica heard of Trump probably, you know what I'm saying? They heard of Trump, they heard of Obama, but to us it sounds ludicrous. How have you not heard of these people? To them it's like, I don't know no people, I just know I'm trying to fish for food, I'm trying to live out here. You know what I'm saying? I think they're called the pygmy people, forgive me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so those tribes back at home, those tribes in the Amazon, they ain't never heard of technology. They see a plane, they think that's a fucking supernatural shit. You know what I'm saying? If that person tells you I saw a flying dragon, you gonna say he crazy. But the flying dragon is the goddamn airplane. We just call it an airplane. He calls it a flying dragon, right? But we call that motherfucker crazy for saying the same thing. So that's what we have to realize. Now, if you expand this to a universal scale, shit gets even crazier. News gets wonkier. Things take longer, right? So if I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere, I see the explosion of a planet, I see that the Empire has fallen. I know about the Empire, but you gonna feel like them talking about some crazy Sith Lord that like Darth Vader, apart from the planets that he directly came and assassinated, you gonna think that's some propaganda, that's some, you know, scaremongering tactics. There's so many ways you can think about it, right? That'd be like, I don't believe that, and you have so much reason to not believe that because those motherfuckers are killers, those motherfuckers are liars. Same with the Jedi. The Jedi did a lot of crazy things, horrible things, right? So unless you experience that, chances are you ain't never seen no Jedi, right? Most of the universe, most of the galaxy never met no Jedi, never seen nobody force use. So people in Mandalorian, especially, you know, people like the Mandalorian people, they mentioned to him that like they're our enemy. So the Mandos, the culture, they know him, but our Mando, the guy we're following, he doesn't know them because his boss is like, yo, or you know, the leader, she's like, yo, they're our enemies, but it's the way. You gotta bring him back to his people. You know what I'm saying? They're our sworn enemies. So obviously, some people that have experienced it understand and know who and what these people are. But not everybody, not some laymen just strolling around the streets, but people in the know, educated people, people that have, you know what I'm saying? They know these things, right? But the Mando lived a pretty sheltered life in a way, like he was just in a far corner of the universe doing bounties. You know what I'm saying? And there's no Jedi's out here, so that, you know, that they've since Order 66, there's fuck all Jedi's. There's even less Jedi's. There was only a few thousand motherfuckers. Now there's even less of those people around since Order 66. And it's not that hard to wipe them from history, considering not that many people saw them do shit. You know what I'm saying? Only like people in war who are probably scarred and nobody's gonna believe, and those, you know, there's all that. It's like if you look at how our own military treated when they come back, they PTSD, they call crazy, they homeless, all type of shit, all type of malarkey, right? So it's the same type of situation. So if somebody that just came back from watching millions of them being slaughtered, who's gonna believe them? And then there's the clones, right? Those clones, they not even individual people. They see the most of this shit, right? They did the most of the killing. So I think it's very easy at a universal scale, at a galactic scale, to fool the majority of people because they can see that, right? Just alone on the internet, it's so easy to be misinformed, right? So if the galaxy, the Empire was like, nah, there's no goddamn Force users because it helps them. They don't want Force users to be popping out the woodwork, right? So if people don't believe in that shit, it's better for them because they got more power, they got more people with it, and they can just slowly assassinate people with it, and nobody's gonna know that, oh, they're assassinating a whole type of people. They're assassinating the only threat. You know what I'm saying? And the good thing about Star Wars, I think the positive about it is that there's no necessarily just a good guy, right? So that's kind of my explanation around it. I really think that like it's a matter of, you know, information, like trustworthy information, and et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of these people that we meet in were pretty young during, you know, Order 66. Or some of them weren't even born during this time period. So I think it's completely reasonable that, you know, that people in the Mando's section of the galaxy where he's been exploring don't believe in Jedi's and the Force and stuff like that. Now, I know he's in Tatooine where, you know, Anakin himself is from and stuff like that. You would think people there would know. But, you know, he went back there and killed a bunch of people. And again, like, you see the lightsaber, but a lightsaber doesn't mean you can use a Force. And some of them might know it, but again, Tatooine is a whole ass planet, right? This motherfucker is from a small, little, tiny segment of Tatooine. So not everyone in Tatooine heard of that shit. Just that little small town heard of that shit. And we know this shit is so far and so deserted, you probably ain't gonna travel to the other side of Tatooine unless you really got to. His life or death type shit. So I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable. I think they definitely need to explain it a bit further, but I think it's definitely reasonable that people do not know about the Jedi, especially in the far corners of the universe. It's like the capital city, right? Those technologies in capital cities that people out in the countryside never seen, never heard of, you know what I'm saying? Because they're out in the countryside. Trust me, I lived in a place where like you couldn't get a taxi or a bus to the city. Unless, if you're not driving, you can't get to the city. Unless you put your thumb up. And if you get a taxi, it's going to cost you like 100 beans. You know what I'm saying? So you could get a taxi, but it costs you like an arm and a leg. You know what I'm saying? So those you know, those things like that we got to pay attention to. I walked for what? Almost 2 hours trying to get back to work because it was so out middle of nowhere and there was no bus that just like, no proper transport that just landed you right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's things like that we just gotta keep our eye on and pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? So information isn't that reliable in general, and you know, it's very easy to manipulate. That's kind of my thoughts behind it. But what do you guys think? Why do you think people don't know? Like the Mando himself doesn't know about the Jedi. Never heard of the Jedi. Never heard of those crazy powers. And again, if he did, why would he believe it? Right? He ain't never seen it until Baby Yoda. I'm out. Hope you enjoyed it.
I got friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now. I'm balling out with my friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now.